What's up, coaches? This is Coach Porter, and today we are taking a look at our Air Raid series. Today we're going to be looking at one of my favorite plays in the whole Air Raid offense, and that is 618 or stick. Now, generally whenever you hear about the Air Raid, you hear about 92, which is mash. You hear about 6 or 4 verticals, but while all those are fantastic plays, particularly mash, which is my favorite play, I think if you can kind of count mesh is the bread and butter of the Air Raid, I think stick or 618 is kind of the glue. It's the thing that puts everything together. It's one of those plays. It's a really nice constraint play where we're getting a triangle read on one side or both sides, depending on how you're running it. We're putting someone in a really difficult position, and we're kind of reading off that. We're trying to always make somebody wrong. There's usually always a pretty easy completion to come off a stick, and there's a lot of variations to it that we can cover later. You can get a lot in the RPO game. Several different really just kind of nuances and offshoots you can do off of that. But today we're just going to look at this standard 618 Y stick, H stick, and let's get into it. All right, so here we're just in our standard Air Raid. We're looking in our ace set. I do prefer the pistol type look from the running back here behind the quarterback. It gives us a little bit of flexibility going both ways. We're just looking at a standard 4-3 defense, though really it doesn't really matter. Really our target is whoever this overhang, this flat defender, whoever this wants to be, that's who we're going to get our target into. So getting into our route, our 618 or our Y stick, we've got our little 6. Now, this actually wouldn't be that far. It's really only 4 to 5 yards, kind of depending on how you want to do it. Our outside release, which is a mandatory or more route. And then we have a swing, or excuse me, a shoot or an arrow from our running back. Now, a lot of the time you'll see this also be ran as a swing. Personally, I prefer the shoot or the arrow. I just think that attacks a little bit quicker, and it makes everyone have to make a decision a little bit faster. We'll get to the back side here in a little bit. We're just kind of looking at everything on the front side at the moment. But first up, we've got right here, this is the core read. What we're looking at, like we said earlier, we're trying to attack whoever this flat defender, this guy that's head up to inside of our Y or our stick route, and we're trying to make him wrong. So wherever he goes, we're throwing opposite. So if he stays with the stick, then we're throwing the shoot. If he goes to the shoot, then we're throwing the stick. And that's really it. I mean, you can get into some more nuances of it. Whenever you make this stick guy, you can kind of turn this into almost a whip, or he ends up going outside against man, or maybe inside a little bit more versus in zone. He's just going to kind of find the empty spot and just kind of sit there and hang out. Really, we're trying to get this arrow out going as fast as we can. We really want to make him have to make a decision quickly, and then whatever decision he makes, he's going to be wrong. Now, you may not necessarily get like 15, 20 yards out of a play like this, but this is always good for 4 to 5 yards. Just really easy. Get this little stick route here, and then a lot of the time we're just going to get free yardage off of that. When we're going into our progressions, we are actually looking over here until our more route first. This is kind of our peak route. How kind of we teach our receivers is if we have any type of bump or press or anything like that, then we're going straight to the safety as soon as the ball snapped. If he drifts, then we're not even worried about it. If he stays midfield, then we're going to take a shot and we're going to throw it. Versus if this corner is playing off, then generally speaking, we're not going to throw this outside route at all. It's just more kind of to draw this corner. And we want this to be a mandatory outside release because we want to get that cornerback to turn his hips and go. And then we're looking from as soon as we get off the peak, then we're just going straight to whatever our read key is here. Like I said, if he jumps to shoot, and then we throw the stick. If he hangs back, even if he delays and hangs back, then we're just going to go ahead and dump it off into the shoot and just kind of get what we can take, a linebacker or a running back out in the flat. Now, when we go over to backside, you got a couple different options. Personally, I am a double slants kind of guy. That is our preference. It just keeps it easy. Because if ever we want to run this and flip a field and run this both ways, slants are a pretty easy one to teach. You can run the double slants. You can run the slant shoot, which is another pretty easy one to go to. I've seen people run curls coming off the backside of this. You have a lot of flexibility. And again, moving into the flexibility of the stick route, because it's a play that can be ran at both sides of the formation, we can run this the exact same way going over to the left side if we run it to our H. Now we go 618H or H stick, however you want to call it, but it's really just the same thing. We've got our stick, we've got our mandatory outside release, the X, and then we have our shoot or arrow route from our running back. Again, you can kind of play with this. Like I said, some people like to turn this into a swing as opposed to the shoot or arrow. If that's something that works better for you, I actually find that the shoot arrow route typically is an easier pass to complete. Sometimes the swing can be a little bit complicated, just getting the timing down right. So the shoot has been pretty effective for us in the past. But that's just kind of the unilaterally of this. You can run it to the right, you can run it to the left, you can kind of tag it however you want. We'll get into tags in a later video. But that is just your basics of the stick. Moving on, if we want to run this out of a trips formation, or this would be early for us, now we really just have the same concept. We only ever run it out of the Y if we go to a trips, an early or a late. So the only thing that the H and the F, for the most part, they know that their roles switch, or their roles are similar. So if the H is on the one side and the F knows that he no longer has to run that route. So how it would look at something like this, which, like we said, we still keep the Y as the stick man, but now the H has the out, and then our Z still has that mandatory outside release. Rules are still the same. We're still looking right here, trying to figure out what our flat guy or this head up to inside defender on the stick route is going to do. If he comes for the shoot, we throw the stick. If he stays on the stick, we throw the shoot. And we'll just kind of take our chances there. We still have our outside route on the peak. And then now you can turn this into 6-man protection if you want. He can check release. You can still have your backside slant or whatever you run out over here. Nothing changes. We just switch to a different formation. We're still running the exact same play, and that's kind of the flexibility you get there. But anyway, guys, that is 618 or stick, Y stick, H stick, whichever you prefer. Let us know what you think down below, and we will see y'all next time.